Thank you very much for joining me. I'm meteorologist Brian Shields, and thank you for all the likes on yesterday's video. All right, let's just get right to it. This is the tropical disturbance we've been watching. My immediate concern is the flooding, the potential of that near Puerto Rico, a little bit more so the Dominican Republic, Haiti, and eventually into Cuba, even parts of the southern Bahamas and Turks and Caicos. We're going to see some flooding and a landslide potential out of this. That is the immediate concern. The second thing I'm watching for is the higher likelihood that this does now become a hurricane in the Gulf of Mexico. It is looking more and more likely that this will work its way to the Gulf of Mexico and then eventually become a hurricane. Now, here's what's going on. Here's Haiti, the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, scattered about as we get back toward Guadalupe, up toward St. Martin, back toward the British and U.S. Virgin Islands. Kind of hit or miss showers and storms. So Puerto Rico, off toward the Dominican Republic, we're going to see more, especially across Hispaniola, Haiti, and the DR. We could get some really heavy rain at times as this moves in. Turks and Caicos, periods of some heavier rain. Keep me posted if you do get any flooding. This is not a named system yet. But this is working in with some heavy rain as does strong tropical waves, and then eventually toward Cuba and the Cayman Islands and Jamaica. We may also get some rain out of this because it's so kind of sprawly, it's not super organized. That could give us a better chance of rain. But anywhere from the southern Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, Cuba, on the edge of the Cayman Islands and Jamaica, but mainly to the north, Haiti, the Dominican Republic, and Puerto Rico over the next 3 days. More so, though, parts of the Bahamas and Cuba. It'll start to cut off in Puerto Rico. But as a whole, over the next 2 to 3 days, life-threatening flooding is a possibility in some areas. There's going to be big-time downpours out of this, watching out for landslides and those dangerous river crossings. So thank you for getting the word out. The Dominican Republic and across Haiti, those river crossings can get very, very dangerous. It just takes about this much of water to sweep away a vehicle, and I'm talking about some sort of a four-wheel vehicle, let alone a motorbike or something like that. So again, high risk of flooding, and this will work its way toward Cuba, higher terrain, eastern Cuba, and with that, we could see some landslides and some mudslides. That is my immediate concern. That's why I do this channel, watching out for the life-threatening flooding in parts of the Caribbean, especially the northern Caribbean. I'll zoom down in just a second, but Haiti and the DR, watching out for the high chance of rain stretching back toward the Turks and Caicos today. Now, the American model, which is this, has done a much better job with this system. The American model did a better job with Beryl. The European model has been doing terrible this year. Frankly, over the last 4 years, it has not done as well. So the American model has been winning out, and you see the rain here, and you see how it kind of stretches back toward Jamaica tomorrow. This is tomorrow, still not developed at this point. A lot of land interaction, so it's not going to have time to develop. But by Saturday, once we get into Saturday, a lot of this rain moves closer to, or moves into western Cuba. That's when this area will start to develop and lift to the north. The last few days I've been mentioning the front to the north. That may help tug on this system. You can see here in the Gulf of Mexico, and then by this point, it could quickly develop, go from nothing to a tropical storm to a hurricane. And then we'll see these long stretches of rain back through parts of Cuba, but there's that hurricane potential near the west coast of Florida by the time we get into Sunday. Then after that, I'm not sure what's going to happen. This is by the time we get into Wednesday. Does it move up toward the Panhandle of Florida, hook into the peninsula of Florida, or does the trend bring it more back toward the west? I'm not sure about that. It is actually easier to track a Category 5 hurricane than it is something like this, because this doesn't have a well-defined center right now. So it's hard to figure out where it wants to go, what exactly is going to form. These are actually trickier to forecast. It is easier to forecast a major system, and that's just not the case right now. But a higher potential of a hurricane in the western Gulf of Mexico near Florida by the time we get into Sunday and even Monday. Sunday and Monday, though, it's hard to tell kind of which way that may want to shoot away. Now, here's the European model, and it has been switching to more of what the American model has been showing. You can see the extra rain around the next couple of days, and I mentioned how if it stays weaker, it would trend toward the Gulf of Mexico, and that's exactly what we're seeing. Again, not developing quickly. So the next 2 days, this is tomorrow, working its way to the west. Keep an eye on that front up to the north. This is later on the day tomorrow. Heavier rain parts of the Bahamas, back through Cuba, get clipped by some rain and storms in parts of Jamaica. And then as we work our way into Saturday, once again, you see that buildup of rain, South Florida over toward the northern Bahamas, back towards central and western Cuba. Then again, at that point, we'll start to see the possibility of development. And I'm going to talk about how quickly it could develop. And then you see the European model, it's a little bit confused. it's kind of uncertain. It's trying to show some sort of tropical storm in the western Gulf of Mexico here. Sometimes it tries to show it again on the east side of Florida off the coast of the Carolinas. So not sure which way the European model wants to go, but the American model has been doing a better job with this, and the Canadian and the German models are very similar to the American at this point. But you can see it kind of even lingers, leaving a system nearby on Monday, potential of a tropical storm or maybe even a hurricane near the Panhandle of Florida, Big Bend. But at that point, as I mentioned with the American model, I'm still not certain what exactly happens, where this may eventually end up. The short term, very concerned about the rain. You see, as this kind of tracks its way toward Cuba, high rain totals possible. Now, with everything I'm seeing now, I don't hold back. I like to let you know everything I'm seeing. This is what I would have as the most likely path of this. Will this change? Probably. There's a lot of uncertainty, as I already mentioned. But for tomorrow, there'll be plenty of rain working back from Haiti back into Cuba. Life-threatening flooding a possibility, even some storms possible, Cayman Islands and Jamaica. Saturday, once it gets toward western Cuba near the Florida Keys, I expect it to strengthen at that point into a tropical depression or tropical storm. Then on Sunday, lifting to the north and developing into a hurricane. Does it just kind of hook into Florida, or does it move more to the north, or does the trend go back to the west? Not sure on the end point of that, but this is my most likely path based on everything I'm seeing at this time, and I'll adjust as we go forward. Now, you can kind of pick it out here. Here's the American model. Look at these winds and how things change. In the short term, here's our scale, kilometers an hour and miles per hour to keep everyone covered best I can. And you see some gustier winds with this little white showing up. Haiti over toward the DR, we could have some gusts to upwards of 80 kilometers an hour, 50 miles per hour. That's possible. Nothing organized, but you see here more of that white showing up on Saturday in western Cuba, Florida Keys. Those would be winds of about 50 miles per hour. Not sustained, but some gust. And then once we go from Saturday into Sunday, and this area starts to lift to the north, that's when there'll be a lot of strengthening. And you can see it there starting to wrap up into a tropical storm or hurricane by the time we get into Sunday night, into a Monday. And the longer it stays over water, the stronger it would get. If it gets more into the Gulf of Mexico or kind of works its way up toward the Panhandle of Florida, it could really strengthen. Category 2, 3 hurricane cannot be ruled out. Could be a major hurricane, but if it hooks in a little bit sooner, that would give it less time to strengthen. Therefore, maybe it wouldn't be as strong. But the intensity, I always caution that, is very, very tricky with these systems. We saw that, a history of that with past storms, how they could blow up very quickly. I've been talking about that all winter long, all spring long, and now all summer. The European model, so just to go show you these models, has it becoming a tropical storm in the Gulf of Mexico. I showed you the American having it become a hurricane, if not a major hurricane in the Gulf of Mexico. And the Canadian and the Icon are just like the American model, swinging this into the eastern Gulf of Mexico. I may have said western before, but the eastern Gulf of Mexico as we work our way into the weekend, especially the second half of the weekend and early next week. So clearly a lot more of a heightened state toward the end of this. Now, the water temperature is so very warm. Haiti, Jamaica, over toward the Bahamas, Cuba, some of them near 31 degrees Celsius, about 80, I think it's 87.8, 88 degrees Fahrenheit. That is so very warm. Warmer as you get into the Gulf, pushing 90, 91 degrees Fahrenheit in some spots. Now, the water temperatures, that is going to be what really fuels this. And that's why in the short term, even though the water is warm, there's a lot of land it's dealing with. That's why it hasn't really been able to develop. It'll march its way to the west. And once it clears Cuba and gets over these very warm waters, that's when it could potentially rapidly intensify. That will be a potential with a system like this. And I don't just look at the water, I look at the air. Here's the wind shear. And you can see the wind shear on Saturday. Usually, here's a sample of higher wind shear. Those are winds that could rip apart a hurricane or a tropical storm. That's a good thing. I don't like these things developing. High wind shear is a bad environment for them to form, which I like. But there's these reds. There's not a lot of red around here. You can see this swirl here. That's the system itself. There's actually a lot of blue around. So the wind shear is is low, the water temperatures are high. That's why there's higher concern that this can really intensify, be a not named system, and then suddenly it's turning into a Category 1, Category 2, Category 3 hurricane. Next name on the list is Debbie. Chris briefly formed when Beryl was out there. Chris obviously didn't get many headlines. That quickly moved into Mexico. So the next name on the list is Debbie. If this were to get a name, it would be Debbie. And you can see the waves here, the wave heights. Here's the scale, meters and feet, how everything is going to be building back through the Bahamas. I'm not really expecting development on top of the Bahamas at this point. We'll see the higher chance of rain. I mentioned the flood potential, but things are definitely going to be choppier. But look what happens. This is tomorrow. Let me bring you out into the weekend. This here is Saturday, and you can see right there starting to build toward the Florida Keys. And as you work your way into western Cuba, things are going to get elevated. But as this strengthens, look what happens as we get into Sunday and Monday. Things are going to really get up there. If this stays over the water and if this intensifies into a hurricane, of course, incredibly dangerous seas. And not losing my sight of other things. Barbados, St. Lucia, Trinidad and Tobago. None of this action is near us, but we are going to see more tropical waves that will be approaching. Speaking of which, here we are in Dominica, Barbados, St. Lucia, Grenada, Trinidad and Tobago. More tropical waves that'll bring in periods of rain and storms. Short term, not seeing much development out of these, but let's wait and see. As these get closer to us in the Caribbean, we could start to see them eventually spinning up. It is that active time of year that I've been talking about right on cue on August 1st. Things are really starting to flare up. Not just on that side, but on this side. Look at this spin right here. This is about to become a hurricane. Fortunately, here's Mexico, Guatemala, El Salvador. Fortunately, moving away from Mexico, but a lot of activity out here. This is Carlota. It'll become a hurricane, but stay over the open waters away from Mexico. So at least that is good news. Again, different sets of names, Eastern Pacific versus the Atlantic. That's why that's the sea name over there is Carlota. But heavy areas of rain over toward parts of coastal Nicaragua, scattered showers and storms. We've had that in Belize, parts of Honduras, Costa Rica, and Panama. Now, here's that closer look as this area develops. This is later today. Look at the red shading. When you see the red, that's intensity of rain. That's more rain. Could see some stronger thunderstorms. Watching out, always being mindful of the lightning. Parts of Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, and Haiti. Then by tomorrow, some of this rain may try to scrape us by in Jamaica. We'll watch out for some thunderstorms possible in Jamaica tomorrow. Moving back toward Cuba, still watching the Turks and Caicos and southern Bahamas, but no development over the next 24 hours. Once we hit Saturday, though, this is going to be the spot. We'll start to watch out for development. Could get some rain in parts of the Cayman Islands, but more so Cuba, over toward the Florida Keys, and then that area will lift up to the north and start to develop, and we'll keep an eye on the next couple tropical waves that will be getting closer to the Eastern Caribbean. So these rain totals are really going to go up. Look at this in Cuba. Off my chart, that black shading there, 150 millimeters of rain to 6 inches of rain. The red is even higher, upwards of 200 millimeters of rain, or 8 to 9 inches of rain. That's why I mentioned the life-threatening flooding. We don't need a named system for that to happen. That is my main concern right now. Parts of Cuba, Haiti, and the Dominican Republic, same thing with those totals. Very dangerous river crossings. It's good to kind of be where you need to be. If you got to get out and get some water or something like that, try to do that a little bit sooner. Easier said than done. We all have different means, but watching those river crossings. So please get the word out across Haiti and the Dominican Republic. Some spots may not get a whole lot, but others just getting dumped on with those rain totals and scattered showers and storms. I was talking about in Puerto Rico, we could see some higher totals if we happen to get some thunderstorms. British U.S. Virgin Islands, still a chance, but the rain chance does start to diminish, hence the lower rain totals. Still a chance of some scattered showers and thunderstorms. That could drop a quick 50 millimeters of rain or 2 inches of rain. But St. Vincent the Grenadines through Trinidad, northeastern Venezuela, even Guyana and Suriname, totals not as high the next 3 days, kind of waiting on those next tropical waves that will be moving in. But very high over toward coastal Nicaragua on the Caribbean side, Costa Rica and Panama. That's where we could also see some of that life-threatening flooding. We've been talking about that for days and days. Mexico City to the north, though, some drier weather that will be around. Now, as we get to the Atlantic region of Canada, it doesn't look as likely that this system is going to move up the east coast of the U.S. into the direction of the Atlantic region of Canada. Watching out for some of those scattered showers and storms today. Very unsettled today. Then tomorrow and even into Saturday, not as much as we work our way into our Friday. We could get scraped by a few showers over toward Newfoundland. And then as we work our way into our Saturday forecast, spotty shower possible. More of the moisture just down to the south. So we get a look at the forecast. Jamaica, the rain chance does bump up tomorrow. We're up to 60% chance of some rain and storms. Cayman Islands tomorrow and Saturday. The rain chance does go up with this tropical disturbance moving in. Scattered showers and storms possible in Trinidad and Tobago. Not necessarily a washout, but we'll get some scattered showers around. Same thing in Barbados. This is not all day stuff. I mentioned how the rain totals are not generally super high, but watching out for some spotty showers. St. Lucia, 20 to 30% chance in Grenada, about a 30 to 40% chance St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Rain chance about 40% in Martinique over the next 3 days, and we do that again in Dominica. We could get a few passing showers and storms. 40 to 50% chance in Guadeloupe, about a 30 to 40% chance in Antigua and Barbuda. Slightly higher chance today in Antigua. Same thing, St. Kitts and Nevis the next couple days, about a 40% chance. 30 to 40% chance Anguilla and St. Bart's, 30 to 40% chance St. Martin, Saba, and Statia, where we had some heavier rain in spots yesterday. Puerto Rico, though, scattered to widespread areas of rain and storms today. Watching out for some areas of flooding. U.S. and British Virgin Islands, very unsettled today, even if you don't get rain. Bahamas, mainly southern Bahamas. That's where we're going to see that rain chance getting higher tomorrow and Saturday. Turks and Caicos tomorrow and Friday. Well, today and tomorrow. Tomorrow is Friday. That higher chance of rain. Dominican Republic, the very heavy rain, the high flooding concern. The Dominican Republic, back through Haiti. Been covering that for you. Then as we swing back toward Belize, some scattered showers and storms. Aruba, generally on the dry side. Curacao, Bonaire, generally on the dry side, which is not uncommon for this time of year. And the rain chance has gone down some in Guyana and Suriname. You see 30 to 40% chance. It does bump up, though, as we get toward Cuba, of course. Life-threatening flooding will be a possibility in Cuba. Thank you for spreading the word about that. 70% chance, still that very elevated chance, parts of Costa Rica and Panama, and watching Nicaragua, but mainly on the eastern side, on the Caribbean side, scattered showers and storms possible in Honduras. 50 to 60% chance Guatemala and El Salvador. Rain chance will go down a little bit by this weekend as we work our way toward Mexico City. Still that chance of some storms, and a 30 to 40% chance back toward the Yucatan Peninsula. Mainly dry northern Colombia. Pop-up shower storm, 20% chance, 30% chance northern Venezuela. And we'll see nice conditions tomorrow and Saturday as we get over toward Bermuda, just the tail end of some fronts moving by. So heavy areas of rain, landslides, life-threatening river crossings the next few days. This area will work its way toward Cuba and then develop as we work our way into the Gulf of Mexico. It may change. If it does change, I'll do my best to let you know right away. So thank you for spreading the information about this, the high concern for that flooding. I'll do my best to keep you posted. Have a good rest of your day.